You have 30 seconds for this one.
On both races, Kevin?
Yeah.
All right.
Who do you want to serve with?
Well, I'd like to serve with Robert Cronevet. I'd like to serve with Robert Holbrook. I'd like to serve with Susan Hartley. I'd like to serve with Jean McNeil Weiner. And I'd like to serve with Ted Winterberg.
Well, the minority I talked about, I'd like to serve with Kevin McEwen. I'd like to serve with Bobby Schreiber. I'd like to serve with, actually Holbrook even comes through with some things where he's against he was against a 9-story apartment building in the Civic Center. And then I'd like to serve with whoever else the residents choose to elect, because I trust that they will be voting for people that they feel like represent them. I don't really care to serve with anybody that's in the developer's pockets. I want to serve with people who have been elected by the residents.
Well, I'm very proud to have been endorsed by Santa Monicans for renters' rights and the Santa Monica Democratic Party, and they happen to have endorsed the same people for city council, so I would like to serve with the people they've endorsed. For the 4-year seat, that would be Kevin McEwen, Pam O'Connor, and Ted Winterer, and for the 2-year seats, it's myself and Terry O'Day.
I share those endorsements with Glean, and I have co-endorsed with Glean for this race.
Great. Thank you.
It's pretty scary out there. It's pretty scary driving a car, and it's pretty scary on a bicycle. I like the ideas that have been talked about as far as painting the bike lanes. I'd like to see on Sundays that a city from an east to west boulevard be dedicated solely to bicycles, so that it serves as a conduit for people from north and south Santa Monica to travel to the beach and to the downtown area. And I really think we need bicycle education. Thank you.
My whole family rides. In fact, we have a really nice picture on our website. But just to be specific, we have thought about this, and we've already decided to move to put an absolute dedicated, proper, protected bike lane on Pico Boulevard, as well on 17th as it goes all the way from San Vicente to the college and the high school from Pico. Folks, we need to have a real bike, east-west, north-south. We spoke about it in the past. That's protected and proper and safe, and we're going to move in that direction. Cities across the world do it, and by God, I think we can do it also.
Well, I'm glad to hear the ringing endorsements out there for bikes. You know, I'm not a Johnny-come-lately to bikes. I've been working on making our city more bike-friendly as long as I've been engaged in this community. But I'll tell you now, our bike lanes are disappearing. We're getting more of them. But it only takes a couple of rides in town to realize that you can ride a bike lane and it ends on you. The things you can do to make biking better for the city are increasing the connectivity of our bike lanes, making go to destinations, incorporating bike boxes that tell bikes where to be and cars where they will be when you're at an intersection, because that's where the bike lanes disappear. Creating bike boulevards, bike-only days.
Thanks.
And integrating with transit.
Well, I agree that we need to make our streets more bike-friendly. The very far west end of Ocean Park Boulevard is going to be a complete green street, which will include many of these innovations, and I'm hoping that can become a template for other streets within our community. I think the other thing we need to do is think about how do we make sure that all traffic is traveling at an appropriate level. I think one of the problems we have is many cyclists are afraid to travel on our streets because the traffic moves so quickly. And so we need to look for ways to make sure, as in Europe, that the traffic travels at a more sensible rate so that the streets are safe for everybody, both people in cars and cyclists.
Now we're going to have 45 seconds to wrap it up. And I want to start with Glean.
Well, I want to thank you all for coming out on this drizzly night. I want to thank the neighborhood groups and the Daily Press for sponsoring this. I think it's wonderful that we have such an engaged community, that we can fill this auditorium, and that you all have come to learn about the candidates for City Council. In the year and a half I've been on the City Council, I'm very proud of the work I have done. I have worked hard for the residents of this community to make sure that the loose we have, which the council unanimously adopted, is the most forward-thinking general plan in the state of California, designed not only to reduce greenhouse gases, but to keep development at a sensible level. I'm proud of my support of the schools. I was a strong voice for the schools from the moment I stepped up on the dais, and that's why I support Measure Y and Measure YY. I strongly support diversity, affordable housing. I support RR. I hope you all support those things, and I hope you'll support me, Glean Davis, in the 2-year race on the ballot. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Glenn. Appreciate it. Terry.
Thank you. Thanks to everyone for coming out tonight. Thanks to the sponsors. I have found my time on City Council to be a wonderful new example of public service and the commitment that I can make to giving back to our community. But my public service extends back my entire career, back to college. It cuts across all sectors of private sector, where I was starting companies and creating green jobs before anybody called it green jobs, in public policy and social services, and now in environmental activism, where my day job is working with environmental groups all over California and Mexico. For all of this, I've been endorsed by Police and Fire, by our State Senator Fran Pavley, our Assemblymember Julia Brownlee, Supervisor Zevi Arslowski, and League of Conservation Voters and SEPs.
I'd like to just take a moment and share with you that I owe my wife, Bracha, and my 3 children, and my family has filled my life with joy and happiness. And you know, folks, I always wasn't this good-looking Republican you see before you. I was a fat kid, and I had trouble growing up. But my mom loved me, my dad supported me, and I ended up going to college too. And because of what I've been blessed with, I owe the city that has allowed my family to prosper, have my business to prosper. And I stand here before you in a genuine request for your support. And I have the strength to stand up for criticism. You have to when you're running for public office in the city, especially as a Republican. But we mean good, and we're going to solve some of our financial problems in a proper way, in a distinguished way. We're going to put money in the schools, and we're going to make the streets safer. My name is Robert Cronevet. I'd like your vote on November 2nd.
Thanks, Bob.
Hi, I'm Susan Hartley, and I'd like your vote for a 2-year council seat. I did omit Ted Winter as well, that I could work with on the council. He had a dynamo team between Ted, Kevin, Shriver, and McEwen, and myself. I've spent my life, as have other council members or candidates here talked about, for public service. I was an inner city school teacher. I became a lawyer representing employees and tenants. I've been very active in the community. I fought with co-founding Tree Savers to Save the Trees on 2nd and 4th Street. I'm on the board of Friends of Sunset Park. I care about Santa Monica, and I'm running for city council because I'm concerned about what I see happening with it, with all the growth and the development and all the complaints I hear about how it's being ruined. So please vote for Susan Hartley for city council. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, thank you for